And good evening, and welcome to the Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and welcome back for another fun-filled week with the gang. And we've got a wonderful group of people here tonight, and I got to say hello to everybody. And I think we're going to start. Let's do alphabetical this time. And why don't we start with our very first Dark Knight 75? DK, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you all doing? It's been a good discussion tonight, so I'm looking forward to it.
You ready?
Glad to see everybody here.
It's gonna be a lot of talking. I hope you're ready, buddy. Make sure you got some water with
got
you.
My notes.
Okay, you got your notes.
I got 2 glasses. I'm ready.
Okay, fair enough. All right, and next to DK, we have FC. DK, we'll go with the initials. At DK and FC. Fastcart. What's up, Fastcart?
Hey everybody, I'm fastcart, also known as FC, and I just want to say I'm the captain now, because you can see above in that screenshot.
Yeah, we're going to have some comments about that screenshot in a couple minutes, but yeah, you are the man. You are large and in charge up in that picture, that's for sure. You are large and in charge.
The man.
Okay, and last but not least, we've got Love Machine with us. Love, how the heck are you this week?
Doing great, Griff. Great to be here. I can't wait to talk about, it's so hard to have so much money in Star Citizen and like hire a crew on like my big endeavor. Like that's so hard.
So difficult. Yeah.
It's not even first world problem. It's like zero world problems, isn't it?
Citizen problems. Not everyone's like a citizen, right? Like in the,
That's true.
Right. That's right.
Citizen problems.
Somebody asked me Friday night, Love, we were talking about the Origin 890, and we were talking about, the cost of, run a ship like that. And I think it was Admiral Kusanagi said, Griff, what is it going to take? Oh, no, it wasn't. I think it was Kuno who said something to the effect of like, what's it going to cost you to, are you worried about paying for washing your 890? And I basically said, if you got to worry about washing your 890, you don't need to have one. So that was my general attitude about it, right? I said, whatever it takes was my answer to him. So there you go. Well,
that's good. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Fastcart.
So speaking of, I just want to say Happy Easter, everyone, and welcome to 404. That's today's day.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And yeah, Happy Easter, Passover to all of those who've been supporting us as always. We really appreciate you guys. Even though it is a holiday, we appreciate the fact that you guys are hanging out with us tonight. And wow, we've already got somebody to follow us. Docinator, thank you. Docinator, thank you for that follow.
And Balur, too.
And Balur, yeah, Balur. All right, yeah, awesome. And that was 2 days ago, GNAV. That was in the middle of the week somebody followed us. Holy smoke, okay. Well, thank you, and welcome.
Docinator.
Yep, and welcome. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. So tonight is going to be an interesting show. This is kind of going to be, as I mentioned to DK, it is going to be kind of a talky night. It will probably be a little bit on the theory crafting side and also kind of based on things that CIG has told us in the past. Now, I don't know how far back the past may go for you. We have some folks like Love and Dark Knight who've been in the show, in the game for just a couple of years. And then you got the old dinosaurs like me and Fastcart who've been around since dirt was created. So you're going to hear maybe some things that...
My Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I know. So you guys may hear some things that... you never heard before. And you might say, where in the world did they get that from? And it might have come from something like as far back as 10 from the Chairman, when Chris Roberts used to answer questions and explain his vision about the game. Then it may be some things that are much more recent that you've seen on ISC or SCL or whatever. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit tonight. So let's talk about that picture. Dark Knight, let me get your thoughts on that picture up there above your head. What do you think of that? The cost to be the boss and the person, that we've used in that image. What do you think about it?
I tell you what, Fastcart definitely looks like the boss in that one right there.
Yeah.
That outfit. Okay. That's fly.
Yeah.
He's large. He's in charge in that one. Yeah, no, that outfit definitely shows who's the boss.
I'm thinking
if somebody's wearing that one.
You know what I'm thinking? Love, I'm thinking that he needs to come dressed like that at Citizen Con. That's how he needs to roll.
Yeah.
He needs to come rolling in just like that, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about it before the show. Ellen sent me a link.
Really?
That's an easier cosplay than trying to make like Morningstar armor. I can dig it.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do the Navy style uniforms. You can buy epaulets off Amazon.
There is a guy. Fastcart, do you know who that guy is? He comes every year when they do the cosplay, and he's always dressed up like an officer from the UEE. He always wears that dark blue uniform.
Not talk about civilian.
No, that's the Gellion. No. He comes as a military guy. He comes as a UE.
Military.
Every time they've done the cosplay competition. Yeah, every time he's done the cosplay
one guy,
competition.
he always comes in armor and everything.
Yeah, that's the guy who comes in the armor. But I'm talking about this guy's dressed like you. He's dressed like in a military formal uniform, and it's always dark blue. It's in, you know what? If you can find that picture of the group shot from cosplay, but he does come dressed up like that, and maybe we can stumble across it and show it.
That's a good idea. I might do that this year.
Yeah, because they do a cosplay
military uniform.
Yeah, they do a cosplay. They do a cosplay competition now, which is really cool. Yeah. I think the best one that I saw was it last year, year before. It was the guy who wore the Hurston bag over his head. I remember that guy.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah,
remember that?
Head.
Yeah, the baghead guy.
I want to see that.
Yeah, everybody actually liked that particular one that came through there. So yeah. Okay, well, we are going to jump into it. Yeah, Dose, we are hoping for SidCon this year as well. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. Hopefully, if things continue to get better and better and better, we will be able to not only see each other via online, but in person, which would be awesome. Oh, I didn't get your thoughts. Love, what do you think of the picture there of FC? Do you think it is a striking pose there?
It's wonderful. I'm worried about that dude in the background who doesn't know he's witnessing greatness.
Oh, yeah. He's just standing there in awe, right? He's just his jaws on the ground like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm sure that's what he's thinking back there. But fastcart had good humor for us to show. I actually said to him, is it okay to use this picture? And he laughed about it and said, sure. He said,
I was like, yeah, go for it.
So yeah,
you know me as being Photoshop. I have a history of being Photoshopping stuff. So
yes, this is very true. Dosinator, thank you for the Prime subscription. We appreciate that. Let's see, is that the picture? Yeah, that's the picture I was talking about. Let me see if I can bring this up for everybody. Hang on.
Let's see. You said the dude.
Guy in the middle.
No, in the back. He's wearing like a gray.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The guy in the middle in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, check that out.
I love the microid commitment to that there. That's
great. Yeah, he was serious.
That is great.
Yep, and that's fantastic. Director Gunner is next to the guy with the uniform on. He makes a full outfit of armor there. And the guy in front of him is Sethius, who's the guy who, remember a couple weeks ago, the guy gave us 25 gifts. That's the guy who did that.
Okay.
And do you know who that is on his knees next to him with that green outfit? You guys recognize that person?
Yep. No, I don't recognize him. He's not wearing glasses.
I know Dark Knight can't believe it. Dark Knight because he recognized him. Who is that Dark Knight?
Oh my goodness, is that Kimmy?
Put some glasses on his face. Yes, that's Kimmy.
That is Kimmy.
Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yes. Yes.
You're still a baby.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that was
2 years ago, right?
That was at in Austin. That was at SidCon in Austin. Yeah, we had a
2018 now.
A fun time in 2018 together at that one. So okay, so let's see. Water Woman says you better start planning your costume, Love.
Thanks, babe. Yeah.
So you better start now. Start ahead of time.
Yep, that's my off-duty supervisor, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Well, welcome. We appreciate you being here. All right, so let's jump into this because we got a lot of ground to cover tonight. And as you guys know, I had to do a little bit of quick work on how we want to title these. The show today is the reason why it's called The Cost to Be the Boss is because we're going to be talking about what does it take to basically operate in Star Citizen in the game. And we're really going to be focusing, even though we can apply some of this to single player or ships, this is really going to be kind of leaning more and more toward when you have multi-crew scenarios. And what will it take for the people operating those ships or in charge of those ships to be able to basically do a mission and get away with it. Number one, thank you. We love you too. Thank you so much for being here tonight. So that's basically it. So we're going to be kind of, like I said, a little bit of theory crafting, a little bit of reflection on things that CIG has told us, and of course, giving our own 2 cents on the subject matter. So let's go ahead and jump in and hit this very first one. Love, because of your background, a little bit of your background, I'm going to ask you if you would explain the difference between an owner of a ship and the captain of a ship from your perspective.
Oh, okay, yeah. We've had some discussions about this when we do ops in the Rec Raiders. So the owner of the ship can be the captain at the time of the operation, but that's not always true. So the captain of the ship is worried about the well-being of the ship, like during an operation, and obviously an owner operator like might be kind of removed from those processes. I mean, an owner could even be someone that could spawn the ship and say, okay, so you're borrowing my Titan, like have fun and do that, bye, you know. But a captain's pretty much kind of present and is worried about the well-being of the ship and the crew.
Okay. And like you said, they could be the same person. But then again, you could have somebody who owns the ship, but basically gives the authority to run that ship to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right. And what we're going to kind of be talking about is what is the liability for those as we go through as well. So kind of keep in mind that we may be using those two terms together, guys, when we talk about this, or there may be some things we may be very specific to a captain. I'm kind of reflecting back on something that is totally non-space related, but I think you guys will be able to connect. You guys remember the movie Titanic? You guys remember that? Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that part of the discrepancy in that film was that the captain wanted to operate the ship safely, but the owners of the ship wanted to get to New York by a certain time frame, and they pushed the captain to, basically go faster than what they felt was safe. Let me ask you, in scenarios, will there be scenarios like that where there's an owner on the ship and the owner may override what a captain says doing on a mission? For whatever the reasons may be. In that particular case, the owner was just worried about the reputation of the company, right? Could that be a factor in Star Citizen? Or will an owner just say, hey, it's your baby, I'm just here for the ride? And let me ask Dark Knight, let me hit with you with that one first.
No, I actually think that the owner would probably override the captain at some point. If the owner of the ship, the one that's paying the money basically to make that ship go and to get it out there and supply the ship, the captain is basically just running the operation of the ship and making sure that the crew is taken care of, that engineering's running good, cargo's being, all of the maintenance or the operation of running the ship and navigation and things like that. But the owner, the captain might say, oh, that's a dangerous area to go into. Maybe we shouldn't fly in there. I'm not sure if my pilot can really handle it. And the owner says, you know what? I don't care.
Okay.
Especially if he's like the owner of, say, a larger vessel. Now that might be a little bit different because they'll have more people that are there to give input. But say on a smaller vessel, say like a 600i, the captain of the ship and the owner are either in agreement, or the owner could say, screw it, I want to go.
Okay, all right. Fastcart Baylor says for a Starliner owner, the Starliner in the game operates based on time. If the Starliner owner says, hey, listen, take the pyro shortcut, we need the time bonus. What do you think? Is that something that the captain should just go ahead and do because they're hired? Or should the captain say, if you're going to take responsibility of all these people on here, I'll do it? Or should they not do it? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, painting like one of your Drake girls. No, and for your answer, I hope they would take the safer route. But I mean, if the owner is really in a hurry, the way I think of it is like this: if you own a ship, you're gonna have NPCs piloting and controlling the ship. Then yeah, the owner can probably overrule and control everything. But if you talk about PCs, like if you have like someone taking out a 600 that you own, and you have a pilot who's part of the crew, and he's saying, I don't want to do this. I don't know, because then you can run into metagaming. Like the pilot can always log out if you're gonna think it's not gonna be safe or whatever. So it kind of dicey. I'm not sure how that will work out.
Okay. And Love, let's keep going with Fastcart's thing. A pilot logging out, I don't know if that would be a good thing, because we're going to be rating each other on reputation, right? So, if the pilot decided to say, hey, I'm out of here, is it going to be worth it? I mean, getting maybe some bad, because maybe even the crew might give that person, a bad rating,
And they should. I mean, just kind of like how Uber has the stars. I mean, you don't want to, because if you're looking for crew, do you want to have a 1-star crew? If that system persists where like, yeah, this person gets hired for PC jobs and they're a 1-star player, or, if there's someone that has a reputation for, yeah, I like to fly gunships. Like, I don't like to shoot, but I get in the combat zones and get out and I have no problems. And they're a 4 or 5-star person. Like, you should be able to reliably trust that and pay them accordingly, So I think that'll be a big factor in this too, when it comes to crewing and compensation as well, as you should be able to have that information available to you to make those decisions as an owner or captain.
Okay. Cream Pie for you. Thank you for the follow. And Proto Molecule. Thank you as well for the follow.
That's gonna be trouble.
Proto Molecule 128.
Love
we appreciate that. Okay. All right. So let's move on past the. We've got a pretty good idea about captains and owners and that they may be synonymous. Is that right? Synonymous from time to time. Okay. Let's talk about these areas of crew. We're not gonna go deep into all of these, but we are going to try and touch on them a little bit. Navigation, weapons, tactical, and scanning. And I would assume that most of these people will probably be in the con, right, in the control deck of a ship for the most part. There may be some of them that might have a station somewhere else, but in general, they will probably be within proximity of each other. When it comes down to all of these roles here, what is the things that you have to worry about? And let me start with Love this time. For somebody who's a navigator, let's take the navigator, for example. What are some things that you're going to be looking for in a navigator when it comes to you being in charge of the ship?
So the navigator would have to worry about fuel efficiency, timing, because it's not just, okay, we're going from here to there to do this thing. Can we get there fast enough? Is there a safe route? Do we get support at those locations? If we're in a large like a Carrack, can we get support at that location, or are we in a Cutlass? And that's, a pretty easy thing to kind of maintain in austere environments. And then probably, we're talking like outside Googling, if the Moby-Glass doesn't exist like as an encyclopedia in the game, a navigator would also be doing research of like if we're flying to try to find certain materials, certain missions, certain jobs, they're doing a lot of research in that role. So someone who's dedicated to research, that's important to have as a navigator. Okay.
So you think there's some pre-planning engaged with that role then, you're saying?
I don't think so, other than like identifying a navigator. Like, I'm pretty sure like whether it's that chair behind the pilot in the Cutlass that has the capacity to do anything other than fly, or if you're on the bridge of a Carrack, like you're kind of in that research position when it comes to like all these that you got on here.
Okay. Were you going to say fast card? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want to say it depends. It matters to me whether or not the navigator is blind. Because if he is blind, he better have a prosthesis over his eyes so he can see. That's all.
That's supposed to be in engineering. You're in the wrong department, I think.
No, he started out in navigation. Remember, the first season.
That's true. The very first season. Yeah, that's true. He was. So let me ask you, Fast Cart. She just talked about navigation. What they need to be pretty proficient at. What about the weapons people on a ship? And I'm not referring to necessarily like turret gunners. I'm referring to that weapons person who's up front. Any particulars with that person that you think that you'd be looking for?
Good aiming, good reflexes, pretty good, accuracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. We're gonna say.
No, I don't know what else. It basically is like if you're going to be controlling a turret, he's going to be like pretty good. Have to be pretty knowledgeable at what the weapon is, and have some kind of coordination with the pilot and the navigator to say, oh, I need more coverage on this area, or tilt me this way, or tilt me that way. So that'll be important also. Communication.
And that's what I was going to ask you about, was the coordination between the navigator and the weapons officer, because that definitely is a factor, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. Dark Knight, let's get to tactical, and that's a little bit different than weapons, right?
Yes.
When it comes to tactical, what's so important about that position?
One of the things I was thinking about is that the tactical really kind of deals with mission command, infantry command, and managing fleet fleet operations at the same time. they would be answering to, say, the general or the colonel of the say fleet themselves, but they're managing a smaller fleet. Deployment of troops is what I was thinking about with the tactical officer. They're going to have to decide which ground troops to deploy, ground vehicles to deploy, and they're going to have. I was thinking like more of a chain of command when it comes to ground operations and flight operations. Where you have almost like you have a system, and each of these smaller groups will answer to the next one larger, and the overall tactical commander will be in charge of all of that, and they'll have to manage these little small pockets of groups. So they might have to do a ground troop deployment and also manage a tactical flight operation, but they'll have, say, a lieutenant or someone intervening to give the orders to those particular areas. But the tactical will have a lot of work to do, in my opinion.
Okay. Love, for the tactical officer and the captain, right? For some cases, they may be the same person, right? The captain may be the one that's very much aware of the mission, knows how he wants to set up and do things. Do you think on the larger ships it'd be better to have, like, because for some people, the captain's job is just to get them there, right? I mean, that's their main thing. But when it comes to once we get there, a tactical officer might step forward and decide, as Dark Knight was saying, okay, when we get here, this is what we need to do. They've done the research on who they're, if it's an attack or whatever it is. They're a tactician, right? They've kind of thought out how the mission will be accomplished. Do you think that that's like in Star Citizen? Do you think that people will get that deep about it, or you think it'll just kind of still be like really kind of read the mission thing on your Moby Glass and let's go?
Well, it becomes necessary when you're in like a voice chat with a large group of people, and I mean the Carrick's the best example I have because we use it the most. There are two groups of people that need to talk to each other aboard a Carrick if you have enough people. The pilot, which can be the captain. I mean, let's assume the captain is the pilot, right? So the captain cares for the ship and the well-being of the ship, and there is someone who should be for the crew and the well-being of the crew, and that includes if you have a tactical team that's like ready to deploy if you land on the ground. So the captain should be communicating only with people on turrets to keep the ship safe, and the owner of the ship, if the owner is the person who's like, well, I decided we're using this ship for this operation, captain, get them there. Lieutenant, you're the tactical lead, and you lead the ground team and their well-being. That's a model that we found pretty successful because you keep those two chats separate until the time to execute is near. So the ship crew with the captains talking to the turrets, keeping the ship safe, getting it in position. You wire, hey, ground team, ramps open, go. The ground team talks to each other, and they go and do their thing while the captain keeps the ship safe. So that's like that division there.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Let's jump down. Colossal, not Colossal. I'm saying Colossal because I was going to say hi to Colossal. Hi, Colossal. He said hello. He said hello in chat.
Hey, Colossal.
Fastcart scanning. We've gone from like really very minimal scanning in the game, and now it seems like CIG is starting to develop scanning a little bit deeper. We saw it start with mining. We saw it a little bit with ships, but now we're getting names on ships. We're getting serial numbers on ships, and we're getting a raid from Kimmy. Awesome. A raid of 13. Thank you, Kimmy. And thank you, Kimmy's followers. We appreciate you guys coming up. Hey, what's up, L Doc? Good to see L Doc. Thank you again, Kimmy. Okay. So regarding scanning, they've been kind of building on scanning now a little bit. Hey, Coffee. One of the new things that they've showed us in scanning was that how now when you scan, they showed us this thing with the asteroids now, right? Where an asteroid can actually block the signal now. If someone flies behind it, where before you'd still see their marker, now they're saying that you can now do that. What are some things? Hey, Real Exodus, thank you for the follow. Why will a good scanning person be great? I mean, other than saying, hey, there's a ship out there, what do they need to do to be really efficient and proficient that, makes them a 5-star person for me wanting to hire them? What do they need to be able to do?
be good at operating the equipment, be knowledgeable about the equipment, be knowledgeable about different ships and in different ways that a ship can hide in different areas. It's like he would have to know whether or not a nebula would be able to hide certain ships, or what would give away a certain ship and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of data interpreting there.
Yeah, data interpreting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like Raymar's answer. They need to be good at watching Twitch. I like that. That's a good answer, Raymar.
Good one.
little stream sniping never hurt anybody, right? Okay, yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah, you're right, fastcart. And I think that interpreting it, because we know with scanning, they're going to get even more specific, whether that's for scanning not only types of ships, but even what a ship is carrying, who's piloting the ship. How much information is that person going to be able, if the ship is running stealth, will they, like you said, be able to use that equipment proficiently and well?
And it needs to know which ship has a cubby hole or whatever that can hide different different things that the ship are going to hide. Like I think the tourist is supposed to have one of those.
Yep. Very good. Yeah. Carbon Tail says, I think that a scanning officer is ideal for managing fleet scanning from external sources, like a terrapin. And prioritizing the targets, targets, right?
They can see the field. They know what's most dangerous and least dangerous.
Where the threats are, right? Who are the real threats? There's like you said, there's a lot of processing of data that person's got to be able to handle, especially when you start getting multiple ships in an area.
Right. And most importantly, they have to think in 3 dimensions, because 2 dimensions is going to cut it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Renlin, good point. Also be able to relay info on long range, particularly bombers.
I was just about to mention that there's going to be a lot of ship to ship scanning communication. You're going to be trading data back and forth, and there's going to be officers that are going to be in charge of doing that, and it's going to require a lot of knowledge, I believe.
Yeah. So Lev, let me come back to you. So it seems like, remember we talked about that these people in the beginning, I said that more than likely these people for the most part should be within distance of each other. They're in the con together. So it kind of sounds like that all these people at some point will honestly be communicating with each other, especially when there's a form of engagement, right? Something happens, the scanner person defines, here's something that's coming from this particular direction or whatever. The navigation person responds to that. The weapon person says, this is what I need to be able to do. It's this type of ship, what type of shields they have. It really seems like all these people will kind of be working right together in coordination, it seems like.
Oh yeah. Before operators fire bullets or boots on the ground, it's going to be a lot of data gathering, or at least we hope, that it's sophisticated with the information going out from the environment, because that's the first piece. Is information has to go out for us to receive it. So once they receive it, that's kind of where for instance, is the scanner going to be the navigator? I assume based on that, like it sounds like someone's going to be a multi-hyphenate. They're sitting at the computer desk in the upper bridge of the Carrack, like see the playing field, interpreting this information, and you cross it over to that person who's dedicated to weapons that says, there's this incursion. Can we deal with this, or do we need to leave? And then that's when, because you feed that information to the captain to make the decision. You're just information gatherers, and you tell them the situation, and they make the decision.
Okay, very cool. Let's jump down here. We're going to change up on the gears on the topic on this one, and I'm going to go to Dark Knight, then Fastcart, then back to Love on this one. Dark Knight for gunners. Some people on ships are going to be what's the word I'm trying to think? Multiple roles, right? Some people may have an exclusive role, but some people are literally going to be moving from one thing to another. And I think that one of those positions will probably be the gunner position. You may not be sitting in the turret all the time, right? And I'm referring to turret based. I'm not referring to the people who's sitting up front in the con, but people like in a hammerhead or a Carrack, those 2 rear turrets in the back type of thing, or a turret on top of a Starfarer. What are we looking for from those type of people what kind of skill are we looking for from gunners?
I think you
other than pushing the button. other than pushing a button.
And turning on a turret. I think I definitely think they're going to have to be cross-trained. They're going to have to be multi-rolled. They're going to have to be handling. I believe handling more than just gunning. They're going to have to be handling weapons, loadouts, and inventory for all of the ammunition. They're going to have a little bit of engineering thought into it to be able to go and fix a system immediately if necessary. Because at some point, if they're not in a turret, they're either standing around doing nothing or they're helping out in other areas of the ship. And I would also see, it could be that you say have someone that's working in the kitchen cooking food, and then something happens and they immediately have to go and jump into the turret right across the way from them, if necessary, or be able to grab arms. I think those are your general infantry type of detail, and they have to have that kind of multi-role to be able to handle all of those, as well as be a good gunner. Gotcha.
Real Exodus 82, thank you for the follow. I'm sorry we missed you when you popped that in there, but thank you for the follow. Okay, so let me move to the next person there, fastcart. We talked a little bit about the gunners and them also being part of a multi-role in the crew list. What about security? Is that something that somebody needs to be dedicated to, or are they going to have multiple, roles on the ship too? Because are they just standing around with a gun hanging across their holster or their shoulder, or are they going to be are certain people going to be assigned to security? How would you do that one?
I don't know about assigning security, but I mean, maybe like someone to say, "Oh, I'm free at the moment, so I can do security." Also, I want to bring up like they can have multiple roles, like in case a fire breaks out on a ship, who's going to take care of the fire, or like if a ship needs repair, or who's going to help with repair. You can do multiple roles that way. But I think the fire part is definitely important. You have to know where the fire apparatuses are and stuff like that. So,
Coffee Gaming, thank you for the subscription for 6 months. Thank you, Coffee, much for following us for 6 months. We appreciate that. Okay, so don't get me wrong. I agree. They're a multi-role person. But when I talk about security, I want to go back to security though. I don't want to get into the other roles because those are coming up down the pipe. What do you need security for? Maybe that's a better question to ask you. What do you need security on a ship for? The doors are locked. What do you need security for?
Traders.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Love, did you say traders or traitors? Which one did you say?
Traders. If there's moles, on board. Like,
go ahead, Love. What are you saying? What did you say, Love?
Like if there's a mole.
There's a mole, if you hire a sketchy crew and someone's like sabotaging your ship, like you gotta have someone like ready to pop them or something.
Okay. I was gonna say, Love, you look sus. I'm suspecting you.
You said it. Why'd you say that? I've never played Among Us.
So fastcart, go ahead. You were telling us some other reasons. Go ahead, fastcart. What you were saying about security? What are other reasons?
Oh, I forgot it. Boarding and prevent boarding and to board other ships. Like especially if you're on like maybe you're a pirate or you're on some kind of Drake ship, and you're trying to board another ship to get either the loot or to get a bounty hunter. Like you're looking for someone.
Okay, Dark, were you gonna
security for that?
Okay, Dark, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just mentioning on security, and actually, fastcart, you just kind of pointed on that. But other things I was thinking of is at stations, and you're protecting your major entry points while you're, say, loading a ship full of cargo, or you're docked or at ground landing. You want to protect the space, the area around your ship, or even your homestead or bases, or or your own personal hangars. At some point, you might need to have somebody there to watch over that, depending on what side of the law you were on. So that was just my addition to what fastcart had said.
Okay, very cool. All right, Love, let me come over to you with this one. Engineering, Mr. Scott, whatever, why is engineering important? What are you looking for in that person?
I think that'll depend on how if equipment's going to degrade over time kind of quicker than you think. Because right now things don't break unless you scrape them or they get shot at. And so if we see things like, okay, well, things just degrade over time, and you kind of have to determine, well, how long is this op going to be? Do I need an engineer? Like, I'm skeptical to bring in a dedicated engineer. Like, you hope someone in your crew can whip out like a multi-tool and kind of tweak things. But maybe engineering could also mean, like, you need to advise the captain, like, don't run the engines too hot. You're going to blow them and we're going to be stranded. Like turret gunners that are using lasers, like, you need to watch that power distribution, or else, like, we're going to run out of power when we need it most, when we're trying to get to and fro. So maybe in either of those cases, in terms of repairing or from an expertise standpoint of, like, I'm the engineer, I understand these components and, like, the performance of this ship. Please don't break it.
So is engineering, and I'm going to go by the way the MFDs are currently set up. I don't know what CIG is going to do in the future, but is engineering going to be that person now that's handling power allocation toward weapons, shields, and saying, while the pilot's flying, so the pilot's not having to worry about that? Or maybe the pilot's saying, I need more shields on my starboard side, and you've got that, because that person can literally control where the power allocation goes. Is that the person who's going to do, because you can't pilot and be doing all that?
Correct. Yeah. So that's like we were talking earlier with, like, the navigator and other stuff like that. Like, is that what they're doing in their spare time, like in the in-between? If the navigator's a lot of pre-planning and
maybe they're doing
in-between, is that, it just kind of depends on the distribution of, roles and responsibilities. But I would think, based on what Sig has said about how components will work and stuff, that someone will either have to just pilot their ship very carefully, or have someone watch for that stuff so it doesn't get damaged, or it doesn't over or underperform.
Okay. Is the fastcart engineering person who, and we're talking about this cost to be the boss thing, right? Who's making sure that whatever needs to be on the ship is on it for somebody to do any type of, like Love Machine was saying, repairs and stuff? If a component's got to be swapped out, some of you guys have seen now in 3.13, the Gladius has now been given you have access panels now to reach the components. They're all external, but we know that there are internal components as well. Who is covering the cost of that? Is it the owner of the ship? Who's going to make sure that all that stuff is theirs? And we don't even know how it's going to be stored right now. But let me say one other thing. At CitizenCon, when we did the thing in New Babbage at the Apple Store, remember when they have all that stuff downstairs? They've got a cart down there that's designed for, like, engineering and stuff, for scanning equipment, and I guess to monitor whether or not components are wearing down or need to be repaired or whatever. So evidently that role, like many other roles, is going to be built out so that if you do need an engineer, they can actually work at that level. But whose responsibility do you think, Fastcart, to make sure all that stuff is on the board? Is it the engineers to say, hey, Captain, we need at least, if we're going to do this mission, we need to bring at least 2 of these, 3 of these, 5 coolers in this? Or is it, I just show up and everything's there, hopefully?
I think I was just going to say previously, I think we haven't mentioned, it depends on the size of the ship. But if you talk about a freelancer, maybe the owner can handle all this. You're talking about like an Idris, you're going to need some more crews to handle all the logistics on the ship. But I think most of the time we talk about smaller ship, like a freelancer or a Constellation or even that, it's going to be the owner who take care of all that. And the engineer, if they have one, will just be in charge of maintaining it, making everything works well.
Okay. Zinyan Zero, thank you for the raid of 58. Welcome, Zinyan Zero followers. We appreciate you guys stopping by. Zinyan, thank you so much. Hope you had a good night tonight with your stream. Folks, we're talking about the cost to be the boss, and talking about what is it going to take to operate ships in Star Citizen, particularly in multi-crew scenarios. And we're just kind of working our way through the crew roster right now of the different departments on the ship. So if you guys have any thoughts and ideas, be sure to drop them in chat, and we would love to be able to respond to them when we see them. Kimmy says officer leads will now use the meeting rooms to go over department status. Yeah, I'd like to see that happen.
I hope we have enough time for that.
I hope we have enough time. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe there may be, I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yep. Carbon Tail says logistics officer is responsible for spares. That's coming up. Food, water, ammunition, etc. The purchasing and acquisition of said items on a real naval ship. And that's coming up. So thank you very, very much for mentioning that. Okay. Let's see. Did we hit all the ones in here? We did, right? No, we got one more to go.
No, medical.
Medical. And Vengeful 1977. Thank you for following for 4 months. And is that Creepin' 3A7H? Thank you for the follow as well. That's a cool name. Okay. Dark Knight, talk to me a little bit about medical. We've been seeing CIG recently, showing that it seems like they're starting to, as they're closing out mining, I'm assuming they're closing it out now, and they're starting to move toward medical. We saw all this cool stuff come out with the multi-tool. Now they're showing us these, different things that we can use to heal people, heal NPCs, heal our friends, heal ourselves. The Cutlass Red is in the game now. What are you going to be looking for in medical on a crew? I'm talking about a multi-crew ship. Is everybody got to worry about themselves? You're going to bring a medic on board? What do you think?
Right. So I think it kind of depends on the size of the ship, obviously. If you're on a smaller ship, you're probably going to be doing all of that yourself. You got to at least know how to put a Band-Aid on. Okay. and at least be able to kind of somewhat stabilize yourself until you get to, say, another medical, a higher level medical location. But if you're on, say, a Carrack, I was thinking about this. Would you do surgery on a Carrack, or would you get them to a point where you could get them to a surgical center? In that case, would you need to have a surgeon on board, or an ER, or and other technicians like X-ray techs or things like that? It's probably going to be all one and the same, and in the way in this game, whoever's going to be the medic is going to have to know how to do all of that. But say if you're on an 890, it might be your medic might be just to get you fully stabilized until they can get you to a center where you can get, say, your leg replaced, if that's, if you're doing, cybernetics or anything like that in the game. And the Cuddy Red obviously is a stabilization ship. Get you on board, stabilize you, get to another location. And I think medical's going to be, it's going to depend on where you are and what that particular situation is. Whether or not you're going to need a medic full time, if you have someone that can also do other things, like I think we had mentioned the logistics officer, maybe they can also be a medic. Something like that. So yeah, those are my thoughts as far as how I see it. Death of a Spaceman is going to be the big changer when it comes to that.
Okay. LM, let me come to you, because I know you and your team, you guys use the Carrack a lot, right? And we've also, if we go by the track record of Chris Roberts, if he puts something in the game, and I'm not talking about some small little thing, I'm saying if you see him focus something in the game, it usually means that there's going to be a deeper meaning to it or more to it, right? It's not just cosmetic. On the Carrack, you've got a full-blown freaking medical bay. I mean, it's got rooms, it's got 3 tables. I mean, and right now all people doing here is just go, get on the table just so that they can respond. But it seems like they're going to create like a medical department on that ship. What do you think? Do you think that having somebody on your ship, because that's supposed to be a deep space long range ship, it ain't like you just go out for 15 minutes on a Carrack. Once you go out on that sucker, you're out there for a while. Would you want somebody, I'm not saying they have to be a dedicated medical person, but would you want somebody who has really good medical skills and maybe they do something else as well on the ship?
Definitely, but I will go back to what Dark Knight was saying. It totally depends on the size of the ship, because if you only have a Cuddy Red, you really might have to have someone who has serious skills if you're doing a long range mission. But like a Carrack, I think they identified there are tiers of these ship medical bays, and the Carrack is not in the top tier, I don't think, when it comes to like tier 2, right? So compared to an Endeavor or the Apollo series, but it can take care of quite a bit. So that should get you and your crew to where they need to go, and you'd have to worry more on the Cutlass, but on the Carrack, you might not need that expert surgeon level. You should probably find yourself stable and healthy enough to continue until you make it to port. It's safe to say at that level. So I could see medic being, someone's a turret gunner, but so-and-so in the port turret, they're also kind of like the medical genius for now. So if you need to jump out the seat and help out if you can, but I don't, like on that type of expedition, because that's what the Carrack's made for, is lots of long, stable expedition. I don't think you need a surgeon there.
Okay. And again, I'm only mentioning it because I'm looking at the way it's laid out. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
The internal, right? Yeah, like you're saying, like it is laid out to be very nice and a luxurious. It's one of the most luxurious parts of the ship, in my opinion.
Yeah, because the 890. I'm sorry. As much as I love the 890, the Carrack has a way better medical facility. The 890's the 890's got that freaking MRI ring, and that's all you got in there. You get an MRI, and that's all you're gonna get. You know, so I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, the Carrack area is luxurious, but and I think you should be able to take care of stuff. I don't think you need a surgeon in there. That'll get you to where you need to go.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that Cutlass. If you're in the back of that Cutlass, you need to get somewhere probably fast.
You go ahead, fastcart. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I think it depends on what kind of player you're going to be. Like, there's going to be some players who are more risk-taking and don't care, like how often the character dies or how often they experience death with the spaceman. And then there are going to be people like me who never want to die, want to keep that one character for as long as they can. And I'm going to try to get the best surgeon or the best medical people or the best medical gear on a ship that I can get.
Yeah, good point. Carbon Tales, let me answer your question. It's just as it is a skill-based game and not a stat-based game. Isn't everyone going to be able to do all technical tasks like medical repair and turrets? The answer to that is yes. Everybody can do it. The question is who does it more proficiently. The medicines, for example, that they're going to give us, we're not just going to have possibly one medicine, or like the drugs that are in the game. We're saying who's most knowledgeable, who knows how to apply it and use it, who can recommend how badly you're hurt or injured. When it comes down to using weapons, for example, the person who knows that it's better to go ballistic versus energy, or even what type of energy. Or some people know that this gun is a great gun, but once it gets to a certain range, the fall off on it makes it terrible. It's only good up close. So I think we're just kind of focusing on, when I say what type of person are you looking for, we're talking about more people who are knowledgeable and understand whatever that particular career or equipment is, so that you're getting people who really, really know their stuff. You know, and the reason why we're talking about this is, again, with this whole idea of the cost to be the boss. My next question to the group after we get through this next category is, how do you pay them? How do you decide to pay these folks, right? Is it going to be by percentage? Is it going to be you negotiate with each one of them? So we're going to come to that once we get through this very last category. So I'm going to hop off medical, and I'm going to go to this one and see if anybody knows what that term means. Any of you guys know what that term is? It's not a term used. It's a term that's used in Hollywood more than anything. Yeah. What is it, Love?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
The people who make the arrows and stuff like that, make the bullets.
Nope.
The catering of the crew.
No.
There you go. There you go.
Well-being
Of the staff.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Just to give you a piece of little bit of history. If you ever look at a film budget for making a movie, craft services is one of the highest areas of where they spend money. Feeding people, right? Feeding people. Because when you feed people, you keep them happy. And CIG has told us that even when you have NPCs, the way you treat them will be reflected in the game. And if you treat them well and take care of them, they will respond better and do better. If you push them too hard or don't let them rest or you don't let them eat, then they're going to be cranky or you're going to have problems with them. So it's not just from the human standpoint. Now, here we go. Let's go back to your Carrack, Love. I'm gonna go to Dark Knight on this, but I'm gonna pull Love's Carrack out of the deal, okay? The Carrack has a nice kitchen on it. It's another ship that's got a nice kitchen.
Yes, it does.
MSR does too. Can't wait to stock it.
This is true.
Kitchen.
I mean, there's a lot of ships. There's a lot of ships that have really nice kitchens, and it's not just there for decoration, right? So who's stocking that bad fella? Okay, let's go back. We went through all these people: navigator, weapons officer, tactical, scanning, gunner, security. All right, all these people got to eat. And I'm going to use the example of once again, Love's Carrack, and you all are going to go out deep space, right? When you do your contract, Dark Knight, are you going to tell everybody BYOB, bring your own bag, or are you going to be providing as part of your deal? Are you going to say, I'm going to stock the fridge, I'm going to stock it, that's part of my compensation to you? You see what I'm saying? I'm going to make sure there's water and drink there, because that's part of what happens in film. That's part of the compensation. Which one do you think you do? Are you going to let your kitchen be empty, or are you going to stock it and say, you know what, there it is?
I tell you what, it's, I would love to say BYOB, but in the case of taking a Carrack out on an expedition, somebody wants to go somewhere. And that person's probably the owner, and the captain have this idea of where they want to go. So they're going to hire a crew to go with them. And this crew's got to be able to man turrets. They got to make the food. They got to scan, navigate, and all of those things. The person in charge of making sure all of us are fed and make sure that we've got all of that stuff, all of our hospitality basically taken care of, is going to be a logistics officer. They're going to be in charge of making sure food's supplied. They're going to be checking to make sure we've got, toiletries, to make sure they've got, cleaning supplies and things like that. They're going to be in charge of that. Now, of course, they might be multi-role and have to go hop in a turret, but they are going to be in charge of that, and it's going to be paid for by the owner. They're the ones that are funding the whole trip, and they're also paying the wages, which we'll get to later. And it's going to be their responsibility to make sure money is there for the logistic officer to be able to order the things that they need to order to stock the ship for their expedition, pretty much.
Okay, all right. Fastcart, what about you? Are you going to stock your ship, or are you going to tell everybody BYOB?
Depends on the journey. If it's a quick journey, BYOB. If it's a long journey, I'm going to stock the ship. But I just want to say, it sounds to me like you should be investing in a carrot and dumping that old 890 jump, because that 890 jump isn't going to do much for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It can do a lot if people don't get lost in there.
Yeah,
right.
This is true.
The kitchen in there is nice too. I like the kitchen and the seating areas, but they're pretty far away.
I want to go something to Carbon Sales. Is Carbon Sales talking about people's ability to do things? And I've been reading you, Carbon. The last point, though, I do want to make a slight comment on. Carbon says, looking at mining as the most complex and fleshed out mechanic we have to date, anyone can learn to mine in just a couple of days. Good leaders and managers, though, are not easy to find, was their only point. Not that it matters. We have no clue as to where we'll go. And Carbon, just so you know, we kind of said there's a bit of theory crafting and a bit of, giving ideas based on what CIG has told us in the past. Obviously, we don't know exactly all these things, but we are kind of going with some things that we've heard about them. And I would agree with you on much of that. But I will also say this. I've seen people mine, they blow you up all the time. They blow you up. Don't let them get to know Quantanium, or listen, they'll blow you up all the time. And I mean, you can try to show them all you want. Some people do not get mining. And I've known other people who, you're right, give them a little bit of time, they get it. Because, not to be funny, but as you know, different lasers, right? They're adding the new components that are going to be on the subcomponents for lasers. So I'm just saying, hopefully your people know how to use that stuff, know how to work together collectively and collaboratively. I just think that there's still going to be, even though, like you said, it's not like this typical skill thing or skill point thing, I think that there is a proficiency level that will make some people have better reputation than some other people, however that might land in the long and short of things. Love, back to you on this one. Stocking your ship. Oh, we had a couple follows. I'm sorry. The Khakis, thank you for the follow. Saros25, thank you for the follow. Denarius, hey Denarius, thank you for the follow. And Vengeful 1977 gave us a subscription for 4 months. Thank you. We appreciate that. Love, Craft Services, BYOB, are you gonna cover them?
I'm with Fastcart on that one. I second that emotion. If it's a long expedition, you probably got to bring your own, but I'd like to keep stuff stocked. I mean, if they find a way to automatically kind of do it, with the cargo buying, that'd be nice. Then is when you all first come aboard, everybody should be bringing what they can. You fill your pockets before you go, and then if it's a short expedition, bring your own snacks.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Well, let's hurry up and make sure they get that limited inventory in too, because you don't want nobody coming on your ship stealing 100 protein bars from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You want that sucker to be cut off. You can only carry 8 things because people will be hitting your fridge. I know some people that will be hitting my fridge on my 890, and I'll be really mad. All right.
It's gonna rate it.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
Hey, Griff, what you got in here, man?
Yeah, what you got? Exactly.
You got good stuff, Griff.
Yeah, smokes if you got them.
Greens.
Yeah, smokes if you got them. It is smoking my cigars and everything. All right. Okay, so let's go on to this next subject here. Where are we at? Okay. Weapons, ship weapons, and armory. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this actually comes back to the owner, right? What are some factors you got to be thinking about in the sense of the cost for these areas here? But now I'll give you an example. And I've used this before on the show. when I got an 890. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying when I got an 890, I was so excited until I started thinking about what it will take. No. Until I started thinking about what it will take to trick it out. And once you start realizing, I think Colossal said that when he tricked out his Carrack, he spent like almost $2 million just with components and stuff, right?
Yeah, I remember.
On the 890, I opened up the freaking armory. There's 32 gun racks in there. Times 5,000, I'm paying 70,000 just to put the freaking guns to protect the ship. Right. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. What are some factors you got to think about when it comes to, because mind you, when your ship blows up, even if you got the LTI, you get your base ship back. All that money you spent on all that other stuff, unless you insure it, it's gone. Yep. So look at what number one says. It gets costly. Okay.
Yes.
So
all I gotta say is you better put your ammo on layaway.
Yeah, for real. No, you're right. All right. So, Love, have you thought about that as far as when you start tricking out your ship? You want to get it ready because you don't want to necessarily go out stock. You already know you got to get the ship prepared. What have you thought about in the sense of that? How are you going to draw that money for you?
It's optimizing the time it'll take to get more money. What's the most important stuff first? Which I think off the top of my head, at least, is like quantum drives. Like I prioritize that. I need to get to places to make the money first. Mm-hmm. Weapons is a matter of your level of risk and how you fly and fight. If you fight with a crew and like I need to get revenants for those people in the turrets, like sure, if you're doing PvE builds for that money and you can just use your like smaller lasers and get in, like sure. But I mean, to me, it's a matter of if you're starting out, it's a matter of prioritizing what you need to make more money and optimizing the time spent. Okay.
Fastcart for the armory. You're going out with some people. It doesn't have to be a big ship, just a moderate ship, but you're going out with a crew to do a mission. You got some friends helping you. Are you going to expect them to bring in their own weapons and their own ammo? Are you going to help provide it? Are you going to recommend what they should bring? What I know everybody has their preference of what they like to use, but as the leader, what are you going to do in relation to that?
It depends on the mission. Like if it's a low-paying mission, I'll probably expect people to bring their own stuff. If it's a high-paying mission or it's a dangerous mission and I can't complete it by myself, I may supply some equipment and some ammo and stuff like that. It depends on the situation. But most of the time, I expect people to have their own stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very cool. Let me go to Dark Knight on this. Love said something that I thought was a good point. She said that I'm going to start buying things based on what will help me be able to accelerate me making my money, right? And one of the first things she talked about was her quantum, right? She says, because time is money, right? If I can cut my time down traveling and get some things done, and then I can start building on it. What would you work on after something like your quantum? What would be the next thing that you'd be looking for as an owner to build up for your ship?
Probably power management. And then moving on to shields, because I think that would be the next, the next process. Because if I go with shields first, I might not have the power to drive them. So I'm going to want to get the power management together and then go for shielding and then move my way forward to other things such as buying weaponry and things like that. And then obviously it's going to depend on, the ship that you have, whether or not it was properly loaded out in the first place. So if it had a decent shield to start with, I might be able to skip over that for a minute and then go straight to something else and come back and redo the shields later. Some ships come with pretty good shields, out of the box. So, if you have one of those ships, you could do power and then move to, say, weaponry, come back to shields if you know how to manage your shield strength and things like that. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Dark Knight. The stuff I just want to say is it depends on the ship. If you're dealing with a combat ship, you're going to probably want to prioritize more of the combat stuff like weapons and stuff like that before the other stuff. If you're dealing with a Carrack or 890, you want to deal with the shields and power management and stuff like that first. So I think it depends on the ship.
Okay, good point. All right, let's jump to this one here. Fastcart, I'm going to start with you on this one. Components, and this has been kind of a controversial piece when it comes to fixing your ship right now in game, and this is just a matter of preference. I'm not asking you whether it's right or wrong. I just want to know what you would prefer. Right now, if I'm flying let's say I'm flying a 315p, right, and I can mix and match what type of component I put in my ship. I can put a racing something in and a stealth this in, you know what I mean? Or and different industrial this in. I can mix and match. Do you think that CIG should allow us to operate that way? Or do you think they should make, like, if I'm flying a Eclipse, right? It's a stealth bomber. Should it just be all stealth components? And maybe there's a bonus if I use all stealth, or if I mix them. Let's say that I decide to put an industrial shield in there, but there's some type of negative to it. You know, if I put it on my stealth ship, maybe it works very well, but maybe the energy draw is a little higher than normal, or maybe the recharge time is a little longer. Which one would you prefer? That there's, you know, if I use all parts that are the same, that's good and it's a bonus, or that I can mix and match, but if I do that, I've got to watch it because I might hurt myself in the process.
This is going to sound like a cop-out, but again, I think it depends on the ship and what you want to do with it. If you said C-15P, so I'll deal with that specifically. I believe with a C-15P, I would want to mix and match. But if it's like something like a Super Hornet, I would definitely try to get all the best and try to get the best set bonuses out of it. If that's possible, I can. You know, when Star Citizen Arena Commander first came out, everyone was mono-boating. They were putting the same type of weapon on all the slots because it made it easy to target, made it easy to hit things. I'm pretty sure that's you know, they may not call it that anymore because it's like, you know, the min-maxing and everything to get what you want. But I think whatever people would want to do on their ship, they should be able to do.
Okay. Love, what about you? What do you think? Mix and match, or go with what you? And I'm not saying which way they're going, because we've heard them say both. At one point they were saying no, it's got to be components that fit the type of ship. Then they went back and said no, we're going to maybe allow you to mix and match it. Which way would you want to see it be?
I mean, the drawbacks already exist. If you do an all stealth build, you can see that IR go down, and if an Eclipse isn't running an all stealth build, you can see it and take it out before it can get to you. And like with my quantum drives, you already can see the drawbacks of like, okay, so I have the size 1 grade A military, but I don't have enough fuel to go all the way, so I need the industrial. So I don't know the future of SIG's ideas on how they're going to split it up. I like the split they have of industrial, competition, civilian, military. I like those categories because they do already have their implications of their pros and cons, but like, who knows how sophisticated. I don't think they should make it specific to, well, this is a military ship, it can only house military components. Like that kind of takes away the choice from the player of, so I have this by its nature a military craft, but I'm converting it to do a civilian purpose. Like with the Hercules, I guess, would be that type of example of like, yeah, you can have a military Hercules. It gets in and gets out fast. It has beefy shields. Or do you want a military Hercules that has industrial power and industrial quantum to be a cargo runner instead? I think they should leave that option open for the players to optimize to their needs.
Okay. And I guess for me, I'm thinking that I'd rather find a way for them to have it both ways. Right? I gave this scenario, if I go all stealth, I get the bonuses of that. But if I decide to mix and match, I have to be very aware, as you mentioned, of why, purpose, reason, and to fastcart's point, what's my purpose of doing it? And then when I do it, make sure that the balance is there. If I'm going to take a sacrifice in the area, I want to make sure I know I'm taking the negative in this area if I decide to use that particular component. And maybe there's a bonus on another component. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see them use a little bit of both of those scenarios.
A set bonus that increases efficiency or something. Like what if the military has a specific bonus as opposed to, well, if you're using all civilian, you have more fuel or something. I don't know. And if you have all military, you get better power flow. I don't know. And not to mention the alien components. Like, isn't the Sikoran shield technically a Banu? You know, so that'll be more complicated if there's multiple types of alien components for the different species and stuff.
Let me go to something that Kuno asked. Kuno says, if you're dealing with a non-combat ship that still goes into potentially dangerous areas, such as a Carrack, are we going to see, or should the community ask to see, CIG make more things that will help us outrun threats as opposed to fighting them? To answer your question, Kuno, I think that the problem is that many of us, not you, but many players are gauging the performance of ships in the game now when there's actually nothing really balanced permanently yet. we've gotten nowhere near understanding what type of durability, what type of hit point. Well, they've given us stuff to work with for now, but armor is not efficiently in the game yet. Shields are not balanced yet in the game. And I do get the impression that what they will allow us to do, there will be some ships that if they don't have defensive capability or offensive capability, they'll have defensive capability. If they don't, like what's the one of the ships, like there's a couple ships that have the automated defense thing that's supposed to, we don't even have that in the game yet, to protect you from if somebody fires a torpedo or missile from you from the rear. I forget what they call the term. Somebody in chat help me.
Point defense?
Point defense, thank you. There's things that they haven't even put into the game yet to help ships, like, for example, in 890, vulnerable, people see it as vulnerable. But let me tell you something. Try to take out a Carrack. Try to take one out, seriously. And I'm talking about once you've boosted it, it's not a small task to take out. You have to have the right ships to take out a Carrack. And the same thing with an 890. Those ships that people can see as vulnerable. I still feel the same way about ships like a Hull C. I don't think those ships are going to be the ducks that people think that they're going to be. I think that they're going to make it that you're going to have to really work to get those ships. Otherwise, it's just too easy. So right now, it's hard to gauge, but I do think that they're going to make sure that there's balance on both sides, that the gameplay remains fair on everybody's point.
And I'm going to try to run away because I'm definitely going to have my ammo on layaway.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's go to Dark Knight on this one with components, upgrades. Are you going to just save your money? Like right now, you can go from like a let's say a class 1 grade A, a grade D, right? And you really want that grade A. Are you going to go through the process of getting a C, a B, and an A? Or are you just going to save your money and say, go from D to A? What are you going to do?
That's a tough, okay. The MSR, I immediately changed that quantum drive out. That, because that thing was so slow. So yeah, maybe I might throw the money at that real quick, but I might take my time and save up for the other ones if I don't feel like it's 100% necessary. Like if I'm saying I'll use my MSR again, and I don't think I need as much cooling, I'll go for a C cooler, or B cooler. It might not be as important when I'm doing data and cargo running as opposed to trying to do blockade running. So it might be a different case. And I kind of see that as for all of my components, aside from my quantum drive, which I would want to have the best one I possibly can have, I think. But it's going to have to be efficient. So finding out which one is going to be best for me. Is it going to be a military A or is it going to be an industrial B? Or a civilian C. It could work in many different ways. That's how I see it.
I'm glad you caught the trick question. LM, he caught it because there are some people that automatically think if you get the top thing, it's the best thing, right? There are some things
that's not true,
right? Because what are some of those negatives? He caught my trick question. What are some of the negatives when you might jump all the way to that top rung thing?
I thought you meant you were referring to how like there's A, B, C, D, but there's also the number grades.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
From 0, 1, 2, I think. I mean, I'm sure there's math on it. I'm sure there's people that have done the math. And it may be minute right now, but there is a difference between getting the correct grade A, like the Spectre, versus something called the JS100, like the Walmart great value version of your grade A Target, stealth power plant. So I mean, again, like there's people that run the math. And who knows if the math will be that simple?
Right.
Like, what if it's 87% versus 95%? Or what if there's also like, so it runs less power and it also is less efficient? Like, they're going to figure out the math and they're going to tell us about it. But I mean, in general, A is top tier. Until they changed it out.
And even when they do figure out the math, the game is an MMO, so that entails that things are going to keep changing even when the game goes live. So even though you may figure it out everything from day one, things will change 6 months, a year down the line. So it's going to be constantly having to update and keep your game up.
Right. Some people found out, for example, On Official Business, thank you for the follow. Underground Aesthetic, thank you for the follow. And Black Chaos 903, thank you for the follow as well. Some people found out, for example, in the Carrack, if you put in the faster quantum, you definitely save time. I can give you.
Yes.
We had one time we were leaving from I think it was Colossal. A bunch of us were at R-Corp, and we were going to meet somebody at Microtech, and the person that was meeting us was leaving Port O. So if I'm remembering correctly, from R-Corp to Microtech, it's like 50 million or 52 million kilometers. From Port O, it's like 56, I think, something like that. Something weird. The numbers are like maybe just a few million separate. When we got to Microtech, that person was just getting to 20 million away. They were 50% of what we were, and we left at the same time. Now, here's the kicker, though. That sucker eats fuel like it's going out of style.
Yep.
So that's the trade-off, right? Yeah, you got there faster, but what's your fuel consumption after you get there, right? So you're right. I think that and I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see what are the pros and cons to any components that we put in the ship, and we just can't make that. Thank you, Colossal, the TS2. You just can't make the assumption that if you put the number one thing in there, that you're maybe getting the best of whatever it is. It might be in performance, but maybe in economics, it's going to hit your pocket later, or vice versa. Okay.
Military drives, the military stuff, it's great. It's hardcore. It does, it's the best of the best as far as what it's going to do. But you can't put a military quantum drive in, in a Connie Taurus.
Yeah.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah. And Baylor.
If it fits.
Yeah, if it fits, huh?
Fit it in there, but good luck getting where you're going to go.
Yeah. Baylor says something that was mentioned in SEL this week when we were talking about fuel and repair and all that stuff. It says fuel consumption will be huge in Pyro. And I think, and Baylor, hopefully I'm going to elaborate on what you're saying. What they said from CIG was that traveling across the system is not going to be, you're not going to have all these fuel stations. And so you're going to have to be very conscious of when you're traveling, because you may run out of fuel. So even if you get that high performance, whatever it is, if it's guzzling gas, yeah, you'll get there fast, but you might come to a stop real fast too, if you're not able to reach where you got to go. So that's going to be something else to give some consideration to as well. Okay, let's move on to our next piece. This is controversial. Insurance, love, LTI. Everybody likes LTI. Everybody waits for LTI. Everybody upgrades for LTI. And LTI, at one point people were thinking LTI was the bomb. Then there were people saying, LTI doesn't mean anything. Then all of a sudden it started coming back to, well, maybe LTI is such a good thing to have. And we know that CIG has told us that when our ship is destroyed, that you basically will get your ship back, right? Right now, when it happens, we get it back. Sometimes it's a few minutes. Sometimes it's a little longer than that, right? To get your ship back. When it comes to insurance, LTI gets you your ship back. And then I think CIG has said that you'll also be able to insure other things, such as the cargo you're carrying. If you want to insure that, you'll be able to take out insurance on that. If you buy components and upgrade to your ship, you can pay for insurance for that. I'm not going to talk about the cost, but I am going to talk about not the cost in the sense of Jaja. Thank you for the 3 months subscription. 33 months coming back. 3 months with us. Thank you. Thank you so much. Here's the question I want to talk about with cost. I don't want to talk about monetary cost. I want to talk about time. And we started on this a couple of weeks ago, and I said when we got to it this week, we would go into it deeper, right? How long should I have to wait for my Carrack once it's been blown up?
I mean, is time something they want to keep forever? That's something I'm not too educated on, because I know right now their reasoning is, well, we don't want people to just blow up their ships just so they can respawn faster and get that guaranteed like right at the second. So, so is that something that they were thinking is a permanent component of the insurance? Is that like the time? Does
anybody in chat remember how long it takes? Do you remember how long, if your Carrack gets blown up, does anybody remember how long it takes to get it back? Right now in game?
So I don't know. Because I know a Hammerhead's like 30 minutes expedited.
Expedited? Okay. Do you know what it is on regular time?
Ooh, I have no
Colossal
idea.
says 1.4 hours. Carbon Tail says 1 hour. You guys are saying it's 1 hour without expediting? Is that what you're saying? Or is that with expediting?
Man, might have to Google this.
I have to think about it. I know for the 600.
Okay, without. Okay, they're saying without. Okay.
Without.
All right, so without expediting. Okay, without. Okay, thank you, gang. All right, so now we know that's right now. That's the way it is right now.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to change, y'all. You keep just so you know, it's going to change. It's going to change.
Like that when the game goes
it is going to change. But listen, for those of you who were around a couple patches ago, they jacked that time up and people went crazy. They went nuts when they jacked that time up. So I can tell you now, 890 was 8 hours to get it back, and if you expedited it, it cost you $45,000, and you still had to wait an hour to get it.
Man, that's when you turn the computer off. It's like ending up in prison. Good night.
Okay, so I'm going to use Colossal as the guinea pig. Colossal says that right now a Carrack is an hour and 14 minutes if you do the expedite. Now here's the question. I'm going back to you, Love. Once the game is ready to go, what is a real practical time that you should have to wait to get that Carrack back if it gets blown to smithereens?
And you have LTI.
LTI, your ship's got to get built. It ain't sitting in some showroom. How long should we have to wait in the game?
Oh my gosh, are they going to make it dependent on what station you're at too? Do they want people to play the video game or not?
Well, this is on you. This is on you. I mean, that's not, wait a minute. To your point, that's not stopping you from playing the game. It's not stopping you from playing the game. So, you can still play the game.
I mean, it's got to be something under an hour.
Fist to Face said 2 weeks.
30 minutes.
Fist to Face says 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
Black Chaos says 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. All right, give us a number, Love. Give us a number. How long you think?
Half an hour.
Half an hour. Ooh, you got some.
Expedited.
Y'all gonna have some hurt feelings. Let me go to Dark Knight first, then I'll go to Fast Cart. Dark Knight, how long should we wait on that Carrack? Love's Carrack got blown to smithereens in Pyro.
Oh,
how long is she gonna have to wait for that bad fella?
I want to say for right now, I'll give you the 30 minutes. Because the way the game is just
we ain't talking about right now. I'm talking about when it's all said and done.
When we go live, Fist to Face might have something to say. Because 2 weeks, it might take that long for some of these ships, but we're not supposed to be popping ships as fast as we are either. These ships should be taking a lot of time to get taken down.
Do you see what Colossal said in chat? Look at what Colossal said.
30 minutes.
No, read said after that.
Do you want people to play the video game or not?
Okay.
But,
all right, chat.
2 weeks,
chat.
maybe.
Yeah, come on, chat. Y'all put it in there. How long should we wait for that Carrack to come back? All right. Fast Cart, what do you say? How long for that Carrack? It's been blown to smithereens in Pyro.
I understand the premise of your question. I just read the question because I think they're gonna have something in stock. It depends on what station you're at. If you go directly to the manufacturer or whatever, they're gonna have a Carrack on hand. So I think it depends on that. But if you talk about if you're just going to get something built because it's cheaper, or because of the terms of the insurance, for a Carrack, week and a half maybe. Non-expedited, yeah, week and a half.
Week and a half.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have stuff on stock. You're gonna be able to get something quicker if you pay the extra money to get it expedited. But that's just for LTI. That's just for LTI. Now, I'm not talking about like an upgraded insurance that includes your components or whatever cargo you might have been insured with. Just with LTI, week and a half for a Carrack.
Carbon Tail said 2 weeks when we go live.
I see it in there. People are kind of agreeing it's going to be long.
Colossal, I do not have a Carrack.
Yeah.
So they punish people that have the big ships now. Oh,
see, love is attached to that Carrack. That's what we can see. You can see she's attached to that Carrack.
Well, you talk about a Carrack. Imagine people who lose an Idris or lose a Javelin. Imagine how long that's going to take, like a month. Remember, for comparison sake, like Titans and EVE Online, they take.
I was just about to say that.
They take 3 months for Titans to develop.
I was just about to say that.
In EVE, there's the large. This is the largest ship in the game, the Titan. It takes 3 months just to get it built in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose that sucker, and not only that, you have to supply all the materials and blueprints and everything to get that sucker built.
$3,000 in real US currency.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. Trust me, it is really brutal. It is really brutal.
But they're hard to take down.
You lose that thing, you're gonna jump out the window in the game. You shut your computer off and just jump out the window. That's it. You're gone. Okay.
I think about that right now. Like, oh, this 2 weeks for this character. I might take up a new hobby. I might go to some classes and stuff.
So something like a gambling or English, I can see it taking a month or so, but for like a character, yeah, week and a half maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm gonna split the difference and go with a character for a week. For a character.
Okay.
I'm going for right now. She's still ready to lose her mind. I'm gonna go at least a week on that sucker. Okay. But
because the character's not that big too.
Right.
Things that are bigger than that.
Well,
it's kind of big.
It's big, but here's the kicker. Now, but Colossal might be right. It might be closer to 2 weeks. Now, if you start scaling these ships, and think about this, because Chris, they did talk about the fact that someone mentioned this earlier. Don't forget, we're getting these ships back base. We're not getting them with the stuff in them. When the ships come back, they've even talked about the fact that when you get the ship back, it may be even a situation where you have to go to where the ship is at because the manufacturer is making the ship. We don't know if it's just going to pop up in your computer or you've actually got to go to pick up your ship. But if a Carrack, I'm just going to use this as a baseline. If a Carrack is 2 weeks,
Love it.
and I'm going to put a Carrack at 2 weeks, where do we go with a Constellation, roughly? Anybody? How long?
A week and a half. Constellation, week and a half.
Connie?
Popular? Wait. Yeah, we haven't even factored manufacturers and materials and like how easy it would be to, like a Connie, I feel like would be a lot easier to get back, wouldn't it?
Compared to a Carrack?
Well, yeah, they're definitely smaller.
Yeah, I think so. Compared to a Carrack, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Connie's
Yeah. But I'm saying if a Carrack is 2 weeks, a week maybe.
For a Connie?
For a Connie. It's talking about the Andromeda, right?
Yeah.
Because I imagine the kilos will take longer than
we're getting 4 to 7 days.
Longer.
Yeah, people are saying 4 to 7 days, so they're kind of going for that near a week, 5 days kind of thing for it. For fighters, what do you think for fighters? Any fighter, F7, anything's a fighter. Day.
For small fighters, maybe 2 days.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be like an Eclipse or something would be longer if it was
like an Archimedes would be like 1 day.
Yeah.
And I said it before. Like I imagine the manufacturer will have most of these shit on hand. There's no reason to wait to build something from scratch. You can just if you had LTR,
I don't know.
Kind of insurance.
Yeah, but fastcart, you talk about millions of players. I don't know about them being on hand. How fast are you producing these suckers? Every time one gets, think about how often people gonna pop the ship. You may have 100 of them blown up in 1 week. You gonna say the manufacturer got 100 of them sitting around? I don't know. I think that's a stretch.
Different systems? I
don't know. All I know is even if they got them around, how long is CIG going to make you wait? That's really the question. I'm not worried about building time. How long will CIG make you wait to get that ship back? Okay, let's step it up.
That's a whole different question.
No, I'm not talking about building time. No. Building time is based upon the lore and MMO, but I'm talking about how long do you have to wait to get your ship back? That's what we said.
How long CIG is going to make you wait? Yeah, I would lower my estimate talking about that. I thought you were talking about building time.
Okay, so what are you going to say then? What you saying for getting the Carrack back?
Carrack for building time?
No, to get it back.
Just to get it back. Yeah, I would say a week then. I would have it. Have it.
All right, you're down to a week 2. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Kimmy said 2 to 3 hours. Okay, let's jump it up now. Idris.
A month.
Love, how long for Idris?
A month.
She gonna get brutal now. My Carrack got me here for 2 weeks. Yeah. You know that Idris is gonna be a month. You know that Idris is gonna be in there at least a month.
Damn big flying potato refrigerator looking whatever that is.
We're talking about how long CIG will make you wait, right?
Oh my god.
If someone has one and we destroy it, I'll wait till the next month to see it again and destroy it again.
Okay. All right, let's step it up again. Kita says they're only an hour for their Idris. Okay, let's step it up one more. Let's go to a ship like a Kraken.
45 days, a month and a half to 2 months.
Again, this is just how long CIG will make you wait to get it back.
Fastcart,
right?
quit asking us the same question over and over again. Yes.
I'm just making sure.
Yes.
But Kraken?
Yes, the Kraken.
5 weeks.
Ooh, 5 weeks. Okay. Orion.
Man, can we just cap it in a month? Because again, look, people want to do I have to go a season without a spaceship? Like, oh man, Christmas break. Well, I don't have the Kraken seed. Folks.
So okay, to Love's point, I will say this, okay? The question becomes, this is risk versus reward a little bit, right? If I'm taking my ship out, is it worth it, right? Ultimately, is it worth me taking the ship out and possibly losing it? So to balance that, let's say that we do say a Carrack is a week. I'm just going to pick that off the top of my head. Let's say it's a week long to get a Carrack back. What's the compensation for that to help that not be the situation? Do we make it so that the Carrack is more powerful in the sense of its shielding and armor so that it's not easily taken down? Is that how we offset it?
Yep. I think that's the key right there. I think these ships, these very, very large ships, they're going to be so hard to pop that it's going to be repaired more than it will be replaced.
Yes.
And so you'll go take those back into dock. You'll get those refitted if necessary. New engines, whatever needs to be replaced will be replaced. It'll cost so much less, even with insurance included, to get it repaired as opposed to get it replaced. Because then you got to replace all the components, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, those big ships, they're going to be hard to take down. They're really going to be hard to take down. And if you can get one down, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be like taking a big ship down in Eve.
Old Lefty just hit it on the head. The big difference between your ship being destroyed or you being damaged or, disabled. Because
exactly. I was going to say, Kimmy had a point too. You have the Crucible, you have a logistic.
But that's true. But before you get to the Crucible, let's distinguish the difference between destroyed and needing repair or disabled, because there may be instances where you can salvage your ship, and the cost will be much faster to get it repaired than for it to be destroyed. So now, what the other balance of this is that if you're in a battle, right? And I mean, there's going to be a lot of reasons why you don't want your ship to be destroyed. One of them is the fact of how long is it going to take me to get my ship back? Absolutely, that is a factor. The other factor is, what about your crew? Remember, we were talking about this cost to be the boss. You got, let's say, 12 people on your ship, and those people, if they are killed in the game, are going to be impacted in some form based on death of a spaceman, right? Some people may come back with hardly any injury. Some people may come back losing a limb. Some people that might have been the last life that they could have had, and now they're gone, and they got to start a whole new character. So whether you decide to stay in a fight and fight till the end, or whether you decide to say, I'm out of here because the risk factor is too great for me, not only for my ship, but my crew, then you might decide to say, hey, forget it. I'd rather leave and get repaired, which I can afford to do, versus losing my character for a week and a half, which I cannot afford to do. That makes sense?
Not to mention the implications for the refuel and repair gamers. That adds a lot of
now you step into it. Now you step into the Crucible aspect. Now we start talking about why that starts to affect the gameplay. The Vulcan, absolutely. There you go, Love. Hitting it right on the head.
That adds the implication for them to be very crucial to gameplay in all places.
So what we're saying is, if you don't want to wait a week or two to get that correct back, just fly with the good group and don't fly alone to anywhere dangerous. Or if you have to go with dangerous, take a big group with logistics and support with you.
Yep. Let's see. Carbon Tail says, to be fair, it should cost you more to fully outfit a ship than the base ship costs. Oh yeah, it does. No question about that. This will virtually end the pay and win agreement. Absolutely. Go Mab, I see them removing destroyed from the table for most large ships, maybe really damaged and needing extensive time-consuming repairs. I would lean more toward, I know where you're going with that, Go Mab, but I think that it will, if people know that you can't destroy it, then it's going to be like I think that it's just going to be extremely difficult to destroy an Idris, very difficult to destroy a Javelin, even a Orion. I mean, if you look at an Orion is no small thing to try and take out. People think, oh, I'm going to go attack this Orion. You're going to get blown up with an Orion. Their drones alone are pretty powerful. So I just kind of I think they're just going to make it very difficult. As you mentioned, anything that's capital class, even something like the Kraken, which we quote unquote heard, doesn't necessarily have the armor strength of something like an Idris, but it's still formidable. Even taking something like that out, I think is going to be no small task, you know.
I want to add to that too, you know, whereas, you know, for gameplay, if we want to have engineering and repair and things like that inside some of these larger ships, they have to be able to be that sturdy for that gameplay to actually be implemented. Otherwise, if they're going to pop that fast, why have somebody go and repair a breaker or you know, or do something like that?
Yeah.
What's the purpose if they're, you know, if the ship's going to go down that quickly? So it's going to have to be a balance, a real balance on how fast can you take down a capital ship versus, you know, how much time is going to be needed to pull out gameplay.
Okay. Kimmy and Gomab have something interesting here. Kimmy says 48 hours max to replace a capital ship. No way Chris Roberts will be able to handle the backlash from the community. Gomab says 3 days. I say y'all both wrong. I say you're both wrong. I say that a minimum on a capital class ship will be 1 week. Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. There's no way 2 days on a cap. People will just blow them up and cover. There are people who own 2 and 3 Idrises. And they honestly will blow one up and take another one out. I guarantee you to put value on those ships.
I got another one just like it back home.
And listen, to put value on those ships, they got to make them valuable. And value is going to be related to time, not just the bucks that they spent in backing the game. And I guarantee you, it's going to be longer than 2 days. It'd be interesting to see. Listen, you saw how they squawked over. They squawked over 8 hours. I agree. People went crazy, but most of the arguing came from the fact of people who may only had one ship, and when they couldn't get back into the game, they couldn't play. Now, mind you, to Love's point, when your ship gets blown up, if it's the only ship you got, that means you got to go work for somebody else. Either you're going to be running boxes back and forth on Hurston to make some money, or you're going to get on somebody else's ship and do some work, or you're going to rent something if you got money. So there's other outs. There are other outs in the game. Well, no, my point is there are outs in the game. You're not blocked. They're just
you're not in prison.
Yeah, you're right. Right. You know,
I swear they really made a way for people to not play a video game with the prison system, and that's what I'm hoping they avoid with this. Do they want people to play the video game or not?
Yeah.
No, there is an out. You can. There's already people that are passionate about being crew members and not captains and owners. There's people that'll never buy more than a starter package and they just want to step on board. So yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Old Lefty says a good point here too. The biggest problem right now is losing a ship when it's not your fault, the player's fault. Once we have real persistence and that there's no ships lost, no 30Ks, all that stuff, then it will be a different story. Thank you. That's a good point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Griff hasn't agreed with my post because I talked about the 8-9. Okay, Admiral. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay.
That 404 is something. I can't wait to see Griff getting one.
Let's jump on this next one here. We need to move along here. Let's talk about owner versus shared expenses. Love, I'm gonna start with you on this one. When it comes down to and this kind of is more like org related, I guess, to a certain degree. Does your org like help with the expenses when you guys do stuff on your ships, or is it pretty much on the owner?
So there are two models that I'm sure there's
fuel.
Real,
I'm talking for fuel. I'm sorry, for fuel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's real economists that like put this together and are smart about it. But in our org, like there's kind of two models. Is a captain requesting a crew to like do things? You know, that's when you pay the operators because it's your privilege to have these people come aboard and do stuff, or are people looking for an opportunity to get paid and they can come on and like they can use your turrets and guns and stuff and get paid in those bounty missions? Like those are two kind of distinct situations. Is a captain willing to compensate some people for their time, or is a turret gunner or a crew member willing to at the behest of someone else make money? Like in that instance, that's like being on a hammerhead, you're a turret operator. The captain doesn't pay those people because you are getting money from those bounties. And if you have call to arms, you're getting a bonus. So at the end of like a hammerhead run where we've done like 40 minutes of shooting ships in space and everyone has like a 60K payout, the captain lands, it costs about $30K total for fuel and ammunition because you just spent a lot of revenant ammunition. And we split that up evenly between the turret operators, not the pilot, the turret operators. And so they pay the pilot a cut, like it's about 7 to 8K a person to cover the fuel. So they'd have now made 50K instead of 60K. And everyone's got, because everyone like shared those missions, right? That's different from, you know, hey, I want to come on a Carrick and help you out or whatever. Like they kind of get significantly less payout, and the captain pays the fuel there because they're you know, there was no promise of pay to the operators. Like the operators kind of get paid at their own will. Okay. So that's how we, because we most often like crew a Carrick or a Hammerhead, and we're doing bounties. And if everyone's getting those shared missions, you know, they already get a payment. So the captain doesn't pay them, but they pay the captain to cover the fuel.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Fast cart.
It comes about to 15% of a cut for the operators. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fast cart for you. If you work for somebody brings you on board. Are you going to Sethius? Thank you for the. Oh wow! Thank you for the 5 subs. Thank you. And Scuba Steve, thank you for the raid. I didn't see your raid pop up. Thank you. Poutin Barbecue, thank you for the follow. And Jod, I think I said something. If I didn't, Jod, I'm sorry for the 3 month. But thank you again, Seth. We had Seth's picture up here earlier. Let's see. Pippin Hot Potato. Piping Hot. Piping Hot. Thank you. I'm saying Pippin. God. Piping Hot Papato. Thank you for the follow. And Akina D, thank you for it. And 97.9, thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you all so much. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
They messed up my head now. I forgot what my question was.
I know it's just to me.
Yeah, I know. Afrotastic. Thank you. Good to see you, Afrotastic. Thanks for the follow. I was asking you, Fast Cart, when you factor in somebody paying you to do a job, will you be factoring in stuff like fuel, or it doesn't make it? You don't even think about fuel. Just pay me my $8,000 or my $10,000.
If I'm the owner, or
no, you're being hired. You're being hired. Somebody's hiring you.
I'm being hired.
Yeah, and you're flying your ship.
Oh, they're flying my ship, and I'm being hired.
Yeah, like maybe you're escorting me. You're escorting me with my whole C, and I just want you to escort.
It depends on. I keep on saying this, but it depends on the distance, and depends on the mission. But most of the time, I'll probably I'll be willing to just take whatever they're willing to whatever they're willing to pay. Or like we agree on the set price, and we don't deviate from it. Like if we say you can pay me $8,000 to do this, then just pay me $8,000 to do this, and I'll probably be good with it, or whatever the fair price would be, depending on the mission or whatever you're doing.
Okay, gotcha. Then my question to Dark Knight. By the way, Sethius, thank you for the 1,000 bits. Thank you, thank you so much for that. Sethius is hooking us up again this week. Thank you, Seth. Dark Knight, I joke about this all the time, and I think you may have heard me say this before. I have 2 accounts, right? I've got my main account. And then I have a secondary account, and my secondary account, that's all my luxury ships. There's nothing on there but luxury ships. That's it, right? And I make my money with my main account, and then I use the ATM machine to send that money over to my luxury account, right? So that's how I'm funding those ships. That's how I'm paying for the fuel for them, right? Do you have any certain way that you're going to be factoring in for fuel and stuff when it comes to especially larger ships? Because Love gave an example of how their crew breaks it down with people. Do you have any kind of system going on with how you're going to, because fuel is going to become, and weapons and ammo is all going to become a factor later.
Yeah. I think, I was looking at it in 2 different ways, and Love, you came up with you were talking about the org situation, or the way the orgs run. And that way, our org is kind of similar, and it runs that way. We have, there's tiers of how things are paid out. The owner of the ship is going to ultimately be the one that's going to take majority, but or to divvy it up, or to make sure fuel is paid for out of whatever the income is. Now, this is for larger ships. This is for larger ships. If you're going on to say a smaller freelance, I'm a freelancer, and so not in a freelancer, but I'm a freelancer in my MSR, and I'm running cargo for somebody and just carrying stuff over. I have to factor in fuel for myself, and I need to figure out how much is this going to be worth my time and money to be able to do, to run this cargo from A to B, or should I look for another contract? Because I got to factor in how many systems do I have to go through? Do I have to go through Pyro? Is this going to cost me, X amount of fuel? And am I going to be able to afford it, because I don't get paid until I get the delivery made? So there's all those little things I got to factor in if I'm a freelance pilot. But in an org, it's more structured. You got a financial officer who's probably taking care of, the income for the org, how it's split up. If you're having a fleet go out, there's divvy up for that kind of thing. But if you're joining in as a crew and a membership, just as a gunner, there's still some income from that, but it's different based on the actual or actual operation that's going on, I would say.
Okay, very cool.
I think I made a point.
Cool. No, Admiral Kusanagi says many people. This is to what you were just saying. Many people won't figure in expenses. They'll just give round figures to cover everything. But that's when the competition comes into play, knowing your numbers. So there will be some people who are out there who are the bean counters paying attention. Old Lefty says, I would expect things to get complex later when there are ships so large that we staff them with NPCs than people, like an Agent Smith. So NPCs get paid. Then you have to wire your players to your friends also. J2, hey J2 says, if your hull C gets destroyed during that run, your escort still gets paid by that method. Better, I think, to offer escorts a percentage of the run's profits. Better motivation to make sure that the load gets where it's going. Plus, if it gets blown up, nobody gets paid. There you go.
Yeah.
So there's
some people pay
cool
per hour, so that would solve that. Yeah, because I know some people, they just say, "Oh, I'm hiring escorts for 75K an hour or something." But that does not factor in completion. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Okay. All right, let's jump on. We're going to get near wrapping this up in a minute. We got two more categories to hit. Personnel, accountability versus liability. And here's my question. You're the captain of a ship. You're running the ship. You're bringing on a crew. Remember I gave that a scenario earlier where I said if I said Love's carrot got blown up and she had 12 people on there, some of those people might just come back with minor injuries. Some people might come back losing a limb. Some people might be that was the last time they could afford to die, and they got to create a new character. As the captain of your ship, do you need to worry about that, Love, or is that on them?
Yeah, that is the responsibility of a captain of a large vessel. They are responsible for the safety of the ship. And while you might identify someone else to in immediate care of the crew, like a logistics officer or a medical officer, the captain is responsible for understanding what the navigator has told them, what the armament has told them. We are in danger or we are not in danger. You need to move this thing or we need to shoot that thing. That is on the captain. And if a captain can't keep up with that, you relieve the captain.
All right.
I just got to say one thing. What if the person is just a dumbass? Like you told them not to stand in the fire, but they stand in the fire.
Well, don't play with them anymore. Then you don't play with them next time.
Well, hey, listen. I'm gonna go.
Discipline.
I'm gonna go with Non-Roboto's statement. Fastcart. Here's the scenario. You're the captain. All right. And you're getting ready to start, and you're getting ready to go into battle, right? You finished the mission. You've done your mission, right? You're on your way back home, and You've made your money. Everybody's happy, and then all of a sudden you get attacked. Some ship comes out of nowhere and starts attacking you, right? And you say, "Who is this so and so attacking us?" And you tell the navigator, "Turn the ship around. Let's wipe this guy out." And then your scanning guy says, "Captain, I can't afford to die. Because if I die in this mission, I'm going to lose my character and I got to start all over." And then you say, "Well, I'm sorry, sir, but this guy's fired on us." And then he draws a gun and holds it to your head. So my question is, what would you do in that scenario? Would you stay in the battle and hope that, what's the deal? You're the captain. It's your call. What would you do?
Well, first of all, that scenario would never happen with me. I would always run away. You call me Captain Runaway, just like in Doctor Who.
Okay.
But second of all, if it's an easy target, I'm pretty sure whoever is afraid of dying, the target will be so easy that person will be okay with going after them. But if it's something like, maybe I'm high or I'm tired or frustrated or something like that, then I would say, if the person holding a gun to my head, it's like, okay, whatever you want to do. I ain't gonna die over this. You win.
All right. Loretto, thank you for the follow. Sinprex, thank you for the follow. And Ralin, thank you for the follow as well. All right, Dark Knight, same scenario. You're the captain. You're coming back from your thing. Everybody's happy. All of a sudden, you get attacked. You say, turn around, let's blow this joker out the water. And your navigator says, your scanning guy says, Captain, if I lose this battle, I'm going to die. You can't. No, we're not going to have this fight. I refuse. What are you going to do?
I think it was Nono Roboto. Space him. That's it, because I am the captain of the ship, or the captain that's in charge. Picard will not let you, he'll tell you to get out of the bridge and go hide somewhere, because I told you that this is what we gotta do. I don't want to die. Guess what? You got on the crew, you are a crew member on this ship. You signed up. You put your name.
But what if he says, I didn't sign up for this? But he says, I didn't sign up for this. We did the mission. I want to get paid.
Read through. It was right there. It was at the bottom of
you going to open the waiver in your contract? Okay.
You didn't read the terms of service.
Okay.
The fine print.
All right. Fair enough. I will leave that there. All right. I will leave that there. All right. We're going to hit our last topic for the night. And this gets into crewing a little bit. And this subject has come up before. First of all, I want to ask you about, I'm going to skip the first one and go to the second and third one. When you run a ship, are you going to run minimum? Like sometimes you'll say, like it'll say for a constellation, minimum crew 3. Or they'll say maximum 7. Or are you going to run right in the middle, 5? Wow. Thank you, Sethius.
Seth, thank you.
Sethius, thank you again for 5. Y'all make sure y'all give Sethius say thank you if he's sending out those subs to folks, anybody who's getting them. We appreciate that. So what are you going to do? Are you going to find the middle ground? Are you going to go with the bare minimum to save some money and pay? Are you going to go with the higher number to make sure you got yourself covered with a little extra? What are you thinking about? Let me start with fastcart on this one.
I'm thinking about my brand new measurement. I'll probably go with the average or the maximum, depending on like at the start of the game. I'm pretty sure I won't be able to afford everything, but as I build up my revenue and the cash and everything like that, I'm going to go toward maximum. Okay.
Dark Knight, what about you?
I was kind of, thinking the same thing as FC, but I was thinking about my ship. My fleet, what I would run, because say if my MSR, it's got 3, room for 3, but what I really carry 3 at most, it depends on, I guess, on what I'm doing. Am I going to be in an area where I need 2 turret seats? I don't know. But I don't know. I probably want to have maximum on my larger ships, or at least close to maximum on my larger ships. My smaller, medium-sized ships, I could probably go with 1 or 2 less. It just really depends on what I'm doing at the moment. If you're in a Connie and you're running cargo, it's probably not as much as if you're trying to run cargo through a war zone. So then it might be a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Love, what about you?
I'd say across the board minimal for a couple reasons. The fewer crew, fewer splits on payouts, and you have maximum engagement in terms of, is everybody on board this vessel doing something or invested in something? Whether it's a Cutlass Black, I mean, you could say a minimum is 1 or 2. I think the minimum's identified as 1. But if it's a pilot and the second person is the turret scanner, like they're going to be engaged with turrets scanning power. If you have the minimum of, I think a Carrick says 4 or 5, your captain pilot and a couple turret gunners, maybe a supply person, they're going to be like fully engaged. So a maximum might be nice in terms of like fewer points of failure, fewer communication, misunderstandings, and a better payout. I say minimum across the board.
Okay.
I was going to say, for minimum, that just means less people to split their mission reward. You get paid more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also means that I'll just use love scenario with the Carrack, right? It also means you don't have anybody on that top and bottom gun on that ship. You've only got the ones on the two side turrets, or the top and turrets and the side ones aren't fit. So you could have 4 gunners or 2. And so my question becomes: is there a ship? Is there a ship that needs to be manned completely? Is there a ship that needs to be? In other words, every seat needs to have somebody in it. I don't know that there is. I'm just asking: is there a ship that every seat needs to be in it? Like a Connie, if you've got 3 people in those front seats and you got that upper and lower turret, that's 5 people. That's every seat. Is that necessary? But like a Retaliator, right? You've only got the engineering spot in the back and you've got the pilot. That's it. But you've got bunks for 4 on that, or 5. No, I'm sorry, you got the turrets. There's what, 4 turrets on a Retaliator? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I think there's 7. I think it's 7 people, but only six beds. Something weird like that.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Colossal. Like the Rhino claim, you're probably going to win all the people on there, because you need all the people to operate everything.
Okay. Any other ship?
I was thinking the Idris or the Javelin is going to need all the the bridge crew, and probably most of the other crew too. Because I mean, unless you're like, I can't imagine operating that ship on a skeletal crew and expect everything to be efficient.
Okay, and then that'll move us to our next subject. Hey, Keita, thank you for that. 7 beds plus the captain's quarters too. Okay. Let's jump to this final thing with Blades, because Blades has come up over and over again, AI. And I've heard various things from CIG, right? This is the one thing that I've heard, and please chat, correct me if I'm wrong, or panel, if anybody's heard anything different about this. I have been told that you will never run a ship with all NPCs. That's one of the things I remember hearing. I also remember that there's at one point talking about a percentage, like maybe 30% of your ship can be NPC. This was a while back. I'm not saying it's the way it is now. What are your feelings about Blades? I see Blades as being something that we will have, for me, not saying that you can't use them like in turrets. Let's use, for example, like a Hammerhead. And let's say we go on a mission. Hammerhead has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? 6 turrets on it?
6.
6, right? Okay. So we go do a mission. We have to land on a planet to go do something. One of our people gets killed, right? It would be nice to know that when I get back on the ship, I can put a blade in that person's position to cover that turret spot. To me, that's what I love about having a blade or NPC. Let's say a blade. I'm not going to say NPC player, a blade. NPC players are whole different things. NPCs will be actual players. They're non-player characters that you have to take care of and you have to pay. And they will be based upon skill levels. The more money you pay, the higher pay grade that person has, usually the better skills. The ones you pay a little bit cheaper may not be so great. Thank you, Galactic Warrior Empire, for the 100 bits. We appreciate that. So my question becomes, between NPCs, between Blades, how much of your ship do you think should be automated? How much should you, if you took a ship out, whether you want to say percentage or how many, should an Idris be able, I don't know what the Idris count is anymore. It's changed so doggone much. 24 people, I think it is, to run an Idris, something like that. Let's just say it's 24 for the heck of it. Unless somebody knows what it is, please let us know in chat. How many people out of that 24 should be automated, be able to be automated? You don't have to. You can do 24 humans if you want, but if you wanted to automate it, how many people should be either AI or NPC? And let's go with Love on this one first.
So this is something I know the least about of all the Star Citizen gameplay concepts.
Okay.
So in a lot of my thinking, I never even factored in that NPCs or blades were even a thing. I just sort of assumed the burden is that these large ships are probably org-run ships. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if the point of the game is that it's a multiplayer game and not a single player, when in a 24 seat,
mm-hmm.
I would say 6 automated.
Okay.
Because I don't think, because I think you should still be on your toes. That the incentive is to have human players, human interaction, and human error as part of the game. So I wouldn't put I wouldn't make you comfortable. Mm-hmm. There's other games that have crews to them, like Barotrauma, and you can make yourself very, very comfortable. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's the nature. I'll say I didn't think that was the nature of this game with like this NPC addition to your crew. It shouldn't make you feel too comfortable about having NPC players.
I got you. Real Exodus 82 says, I hope that the toilets are automated, but I'd like to make a career out of emptying septic tanks with Argo ships. So there you go.
Nice.
All right.
Somebody out there wants to do it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you, anonymous gifter. Thank you for the anonymous gift. We do appreciate it. Even with your anonymity, we appreciate it. Thank you. Fastcart, you got any ideas? What percentage of your ship should be able to be NPC/automated?
If you said 24, I would want to say like 8 or a third. But I looked it up, and the ship specs page said 28 people.
28. Okay.
Yeah. But I was going to say a third.
About a third. Okay. Dark Knight, what about you?
Yeah, I could say agree with that too. About a third. You for the larger ships, yeah. About a third. I think for smaller ships, if you want to have your Chewie, I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people out there that want their Chewie. I'm sure they could be an NPC if their friend can't be there. But for larger ships, those are org ships for the most part. You're going to want to have a full crew, and you want your crew to be people, not a whole bunch of NPCs you're trying to manage.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I tell a quick story?
Sure.
2015, when I first got the instant in the vending machine, it said it had a crew complement of 8 people. I always assumed I was gonna hire NPCs, or I didn't know about Blade back then, but I always assumed I was gonna have like me and 7 NPCs on that ship. So.
Now let me ask you a question: is there a reason why you wanted to run with NPCs versus players? I'm curious.
I didn't think I would. At the time, I didn't know enough people who wanted to come with me on a betting regimen. Like when the game goes live and everything's worked out, maybe I'll find some people to work with me. Plus, also, I have an Endeavor too, so I'm probably going to definitely find some players to work on the Endeavor with me.
Okay. And you
know what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dark. Go ahead.
Carbontel's actually just made a really good point. He says some ships will never despawn, so there needs to be flexibility to at least to move and retreat with very minimal crew. I think that's where NPCs come in most handy. When a ship is just sitting there stationary and needs a little bit of work to be done, but when it's actually got to go out and do something, you're going to have probably have a functional crew. But yeah, good point. That was a really good point.
And I mean, we can get into a whole dynamic of what it means to operate those ships that are the 24-hour ships. What does that mean when you're changing out crew members? Again, I think that this is going to be one of the reasons why risk versus reward is so important as to when you want to take out these ships, especially the more valuable ships. Is there really a reason for me to have it out here? And what are the risks of me taking it out here? Not to mention the operating costs. Again, I've joked about, luxury yachts in the real world. Owners of luxury yachts will tell you it costs them $7,000 just to start the engines up and sit in the dock with fuel. So what happens when you're operating these ships, and everything's running on them, power's running, fuel's on them, whatever the case may be? Will they go to that level that you have to start factoring that in? If you turn that sucker on, your wallet is running at the same time. It'll be really curious to see if they decide to go that way.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens when it's all said and done. Okay. Let's go ahead and wrap this up a little bit. And I'm gonna start with each one of you guys with the panelists. Let me start with Love first. Love, if there's anything that would be your concern for you to be the boss on a ship, what's the main thing, your main priority going to be when you are the boss of a ship? Is it the economics of it? Is it the personnel? Is it the equipment? What's going to be the thing for you that's going to be your main focus? What's the cost for you that you're going to be worried about?
Expertise of the personnel. I definitely don't want people to waste time, because more than anything to me, time is money in this game. Optimizing the time of doing operations, and not that you always have to be doing operations, it's a sandbox and you can have fun, but if you're hiring a crew to do a specific job or make a certain amount of money per hour, that's my biggest concern, is the experience of the crew and their willingness and their expertise to get it done.
Okay, sounds good. Fastcart, what about you? What's going to be the main focus for your cost to being the boss? And let's, by the way, before he answers that question, we have to There we go. We got to make sure the man himself is answering. Okay. All right, go ahead. What's the cost for you to be the boss?
There you go.
Economics. I want to make sure that I can pay everyone. I'm probably going to be like my original thinking was when I got the Endeavor, when I got the Merchantman, I'm going to hire all NPCs, and I want to make sure that I can have all those NPCs up and running, and make sure I can keep them up and running throughout whatever duration I need them to be up and running. So economics for me.
Okay.
And then then down the line, I'll work out on like the tiers of NPC. I'm going to be firing and hiring better NPCs as I go along, and as well as ship components and stuff like that.
Okay. Very cool. All right, DK, how about you? What's going to be your cost to be the boss? What's the thing you're going to be worried and focused on?
I kind of split the middle there. So it's going to be economics and the personnel, because I got to run the ship, I got to pay for it, I got to keep it fueled and make sure I've got the right components that I want. But I also want to have a good group of people that are on board the ship that know what to do should we get in a little hairy situation. Whether it's 2 people or 10 people or whatever, I would imagine I probably know who they are. So I would know whether or not they're good at what they do. I very rarely see any randos, as we call them, coming in and joining a crew that's been running an operation for quite some time as a group. So yeah. Money and the personnel.
Okay. Well, I have to admit, old Lefty from Test Squadron, I'm in Test Squadron with him. He says the biggest test concern, how long the mission will run before we run out of beer. So that's the big thing that evidently they're going to be worried about with Test Squadron. Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be the revenue dynamic for me, because I think as long as there's a revenue flow, I can always do whatever it is I want to do. And so being able to keep a constant revenue, and in the sense of also how I'm earning that money, how frequently, what are the time frames it's taking me to earn some money. If I'm mining, I want to know, like, within a certain amount, how much money I can make if I decide to go out and mine this week. If I say this week I'm going to mine and I know I can bring in 10 million, you know what I mean, this week or whatever, I'm going to be really kind of thinking about that, because that's going to kind of help me project into the type of stuff I want to do, especially because I know a lot of things I want to do, I'm going to have to hire, escorts and things, because cargo is a big thing for me. Transportation and cargo is a big thing for me. So that's kind of the area that I'm going to be focused in. So, okay.
Griffin and I will be operating a spreadsheet with all that, making sure we're not in the red.
There you go. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Okay, well, listen, we really appreciate everybody, especially for you guys just kind of chiming in and sharing your thoughts as well about this subject. It was, again, a little bit of theory crafting, a little bit of reflecting back on things CIG has told us over the last 8 years. And then just some of the things that we're hoping to see in the game. And the cost to be the boss is going to be very, very interesting. We'll see how many of us are the joke to be broke when we start playing this game as well. That's going to be another factor too. But we want to thank everybody. Dark Knight, thank you. Fastcart, thank you. Love Machine. Let's see. Love Machine, where can people find you?
I fly with the Rec Raiders, so twitch.tv/Rec Raiders. You can find our Discord and our RSI page link there. So check us out. Thank you for having me, Griff.
Awesome. Dark Knight, where can people find you?
Here at Soul Citizens, also Friday Night Live. I do have a YouTube channel. I don't post that much. It's kind of like when it's done, it's done. And then from there, that's about it.
Okay. And Fastcart, where can people find you?
People can find me on twitter.com/fast_cart. On Tuesday, I'm on the base radio on twitch.tv with Miss Hart Aisa. We're doing band and censored songs and album covers. So maybe some NWA, maybe some body count, who knows what else. And in 3 weeks, we'll be doing an all-print show on the anniversary of a passing.
Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds cool. Awesome.
One thing I do want to say, I'm definitely going to get a ship counselor on my ship.
A male one, I'm assuming. Yeah, really, that's what he needs, a chaplain, right? That's what he needs. He needs somebody to pray for him. He needs a chaplain. Okay. Well, again, we thank all of you guys for hanging out with us tonight. By the way, next week, we will be doing, as you guys see, please follow us on our social media. Join us for Friday Night Live next week, where we get together and talk with the community, and you guys can come on the show and talk to us. Not just talk and chat, but you can talk in the game to us as well. Thank you, Lefty. Lefty put that link in chat, you guys, about the AI blades. For those of you all who are interested, take a look at that. That's CIG talking about it if you want to get details. Thank you again, Lefty, for that. Next Sunday, we're going to be, our topic of our show is crossing into concierge. What does it mean when you cross that $1,000 mark and beyond? And Captain Richard will be our guest next week. So you guys want to come hang out with us. He's really excited about being on the show next week, and he says he's had some cool things to share. So hopefully we'll see you all on next Friday and next Sunday. And so thank you. Oh, Galactic Warrior, thank you again. Thank you for the 100 bits.
Thanks for the bits.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to raid tonight Jet Set. We raided Jet Set, I think, week before last or last week, and she's new, 2-star citizen, and getting really excited about it. So you guys be sure to give her a shout, say hello, send her some love from the Star Citizen. And as always, you guys be healthy, stay safe, and take care of yourselves. Peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys next time.